What's good, everybody? We back with another reaction video. It's the wave, you already know. So I'm not sure if everybody's hip to Vice, but that's one of my favorite media outlets. From the documentaries to series, I really feel like they are true to like the information that they put out there. And these days, you got to be super careful with that for sure. But this documentary that they did is for Kimbo Slice, legendary street fighter turned MMA fighter for sure. But if y'all know, you know about him. I definitely came up with him like in the YouTube days for sure. I seen some crazy fights of his. So yeah, this one for sure I think is gonna be good. Hopefully he gets into a lot of details too. So yeah, let's get right into this one. For sure, continue to like and subscribe. Make sure to put some comments below this video, and let's get into it.
You want to see none of that.
All day.
I ain't never gonna question you, partner.
All day.
I ain't never gonna question you.
It's how a nigga eat, man.
Kimbo Slice was an internet sensation.
He absolutely helped make YouTube a house.
For sure. Like if everybody was on them Kimbo Slice fights early, dog, and it was crazy because he would really literally just pull up ready to wreck and get right into it, bro. Like it'd be crazy, man. I remember one fight dude had like a crazy knot, legendary.
Full name.
Oh, that's that fight. That's that fight right here.
This is crazy.
Then, this bare-knuckle brawler takes his street fighting skills from alleys to arenas.
In the
He made a
cage,
couple
he was
Bama's
just a
quit on that
savage.
joint too,
If
bro.
he hits you, God, you're going down.
Kimbo's combination of malice
He was definitely made to fight.
and magnetism
I think he was made to be in front of the camera as well.
I want to kick him in his face, you know? Break his arm, break his jaw.
brings new fans to MMA.
You had people that don't even watch fighting paying attention because of him.
Kimbo took care of business. Listen to this crowd. This is insane. Kimbo Slice.
But is it hope
This guy is destined for stardom in mixed martial arts.
You couldn't not look at him.
He was
Crazy.
a superstar.
or is it hype?
I did not expect him to go down off a little clip like that.
I could fall down and submit him.
Kimbo Slice sucks.
These naysayers have absolutely no idea what it takes for a guy like that to take a professional fight.
People wanted to say, like, he's not really even a good fighter.
We don't care what people say.
That's what's up.
You don't give a if they destroy the whole sport.
What's next for Kimbo Slice? What's next is whoever's next.
He's just such a polarizing figure.
Let's do it. When I rest in peace, just want people to say I evolved from a knucklehead in the backyards of the hood in Miami to the mainstream and the elite of mixed martial arts.
Yo, it's crazy what you really speak in life, because that's really what happened. And that's really how we remember him and why he's a legend, and why there's such documentaries and media out to show that. Like progress. It's crazy. Be careful what you speak. Power of the tongue for real, bro.
The underground fighter and internet legend Kimbo Slice begins life as Kevin Ferguson. Nicknamed Kimbo by his family, he grows up a Bahamian immigrant living with his mom and two siblings in rundown South Miami.
3 kids with mom from an island with nothing. We really had a struggle. I'm Renee Ferguson, the sister of Kevin Ferguson. We got picked on for the type of clothing that we wore because we didn't have the best. Our language was different. We spoke funny.
But Kimbo's mom teaches her kids to stand up for themselves and for others.
They try to push you around, you push them back. Show them you're not afraid, even if you are afraid.
That's when Kevin really started fighting back because he got tired of running.
Oh,
The first fight I ever had, I was like maybe 13. The guy was like 26. I saw my friend of mine just getting beat up. And I just went over there and just cleaned his clock.
All that built-up anger that he had made him Kimbo.
I just knew him as Big Ferg. My name's Mike Imber, and I'm a longtime friend and also manager to Big Ferg, a.k.a. Kimbo. We met back at Miami Palmetto High. You wouldn't forget his presence even back then. He was known for playing football there. He definitely was the one looking out for me if I ever had any issues or problems. Even though he might have had the opportunity to be the bully, he always chose to be the anti-bully.
While still in high school, Kimbo becomes a father.
Oh my God, he was so happy.
Everyone said,
"Damn, that's crazy. Like, that's him in high school? Look at this man."
When they saw him, they saw me. I'm Kevin, Kimbo Slice Jr., and I'm the son of Kimbo Slice.
He do look like him a little bit, though.
He didn't really have his dad in his life, so he tried his best to be like the best version he thought he could be. He had a bike, and he used to have me like in the basket, like riding around with him everywhere he went, practice, even school. And the teachers let him. Like they liked him so much that they let him.
Kimbo's size, strength, and athletic ability earned him a football scholarship at University of Miami.
He really wanted to become a professional football player. That was his first dream.
A dream that will get blown away by a Category 5 hurricane.
And in Florida, where the storm was strongest, up to 250,000 people have lost their homes.
And Kimbo loses his chance to play Division I football.
Everything stopped. No school. I don't think he played his last couple games.
Kimbo's scholarship is withdrawn on account of the shortened season.
That year was just a bad year. Hurricane Andrew came through and just destroyed everything.
Just didn't work out for him.
He was 18 at that time, with a kid. So I know it was probably tough on him.
And then he was just struggling, trying to figure out what it is that he wanted to do.
For the next decade, Kimbo bounces between colleges and jobs.
I wasn't even hip to that Hurricane Andrew.
People just wasn't hiring. We all do what we have to do to make a living, and to survive.
Including sleeping in his car while working as a bouncer at a strip club. In his late 20s, Kimbo's earning too little to support himself or his family.
We're talking like $30, $40 a night from 5 in the afternoon till 6 in the morning, and you hoping that you will make a little tips by these guys coming in, giving you $1 at the door. How many dollars you think you're gonna get?
I showed up at the strip club, and who was working the door was Ferg. We just weren't in touch over those years. And it was meant to be that we bumped back into one another. I had a business that we had just got started in. Reality Kings was an online conglomerate of adult pay sites. I was able to offer him a job for us to work together. He was just driving and working as security. He had this real shitty Pathfinder with the windows broken out. I just didn't know that he was actually using it to stay in. I wasn't able to pay him a lot of money to start. If I knew my guy was sleeping in the car, I would have figured something out. He never really asked for anything like that. He's a very prideful man, and he wanted to make more money. I was like, well, I've never seen you lose a fight.
Mike Imber has an idea. His time running porn websites tips him to another kind of online adult entertainment. Bare-knuckle backyard brawls.
We could just go to the different neighborhoods, find out who they got, and I'll bet on you, and you'll keep whatever you win. I knew that he wasn't going to lose.
He used to tell me about it. He was like, Renee, I'm gonna do these backyard fights. And I'm like, you seriously, you have to do this? He was like, yeah.
Kimbo's chance comes in 2003.
I got a phone call, and it was like, Ferg, would you fight Big D for $1,500?
Right. Tell him when he's ready to come see me, man.
I'm like, right now? Hell yeah.
He's supposed to be the baddest guy down south, or whatever, the bully or whatever. So I'm gonna fight him. And I was like, okay, yeah, Kevin.
And then it went from, if you win, you'll get $3 grand.
I definitely remember the first time I saw Kimbo Slice. Like many, it was on YouTube. Getting out of the Hummer and just throwing down.
Get right to it. That was definitely the dope thing about him, because like I said, he would just really just literally hop out, get the wrecking, bro, and really just get right into it, man, and win, instantly. Crazy. I hope they show that fight he did with that white dude. It was like a white European. I don't know if he was Russian or whatever.
Vicious and brutal.
That was
when I seen it, I'm like, oh my God.
Someone shared the link with me. I was like, I can't believe people do this. This is crazy.
Like, come on, hit
The way
me.
it was filmed, this wasn't scripted.
That nigga, that's Brumman. Run it, Ferg.
It was just something I'd never seen before, and I couldn't look away.
He told the guy to hit him. I'm like, don't
He said, that's all you got? I remember this, bro. Like,
do that.
Kimbo was a legend.
As long as he ain't get knocked out, I'm fine.
That's why he a glue like that. It was R.I.P., man.
He executed that one. I'm like, okay, yeah, all right. So finish him. We good.
And he just ate him.
Left side. Left side. Put him out of there. What y'all with that thing? What y'all with that metal thing, man?
The guy's eye looked like it was falling out a little bit.
You can do this. No, I'm saying. Good shit, dog, all right?
Slicing open Big D's eye earns Kimbo a new last name. He's now Kimbo Slice.
It was like a movie. Who the hell is this guy?
All day.
I ain't never gonna question you, partner.
All day. What?
I'm like, oh
No,
my
that's
God.
crazy. That was his first
So how many
joint,
more of
like,
these you have to do?
online. Like, that's crazy.
Damn, you got. Oh, man.
When he came home that day, he had like this white bloody towel, bloody pants with like a stack of money.
Somebody hit me up and they're like, look, man, this thing's got millions of views on YouTube. I'm like, might have something here.
Kimbo was like one of the first internet celebrities.
A friend of mine called one day and he's like, look, I got a possible fight for you. Crazy thing is he's a cop.
Sean Gannon, the great white hope cop from Boston versus Kimbo Slice, has the street fighting world bursting with anticipation.
It was definitely a war.
Oh, this was it. I thought he was European. He was a white dude from Boston.
From the start, the fight does not disappoint. Gannon pulls out a martial arts move called the guillotine choke. In street fights, chokeholds are banned.
Look at that.
Kimbo exhausts himself fighting his way out of several holds.
It was a moment where you saw that he wasn't invincible, that he was indeed
Y'all gotta go watch this fight, though. I don't know if they still got it online, but that joint crazy, man. Like, crazy.
human.
Sean Gannon got beaten to smithereens.
And requires several days in the hospital to recover.
But Sean Gannon won.
The internet doesn't care.
Everybody was talking about Kimbo. He was a video game boss that came to life. He was as wide as a buffalo. He was mean when he fought. He talked trash, and the trash he talked was funny.
I'm gonna try to make him bleed, piss, fart, shit, throw up, burp, whatever the body does. You know, I'm gonna try to get him to do it.
We were at the Miami Arena and Mike Tyson called him over. He said, I'm a big fan of your work. Could I give you a piece of advice? He's like, you know, don't ever go pro. He's like, keep doing what you're doing. But, you know, Kimbo was looking at him like, knowing, here you are, you made hundreds of millions of dollars. You know, I'm fighting in the backyard.
Kimbo does not take Iron Mike's advice. Instead, he starts down a professional fighting path he won't live to regret.
I was working for Cage Fury. They wanted a main event. And I said, I got the guy.
I remember
that's gonna
these
bring
early
in
days,
everybody.
too, of the UFC. It was crazy.
I said, Kimbo.
Then it's like, we want to have him fight Ray Mercer.
Not even just UFC, but just straight street fight.
No amateur fights, no warm-up, no anything. His first pro fight was against an ex-heavyweight champ of the world, gold medalist.
In just 2 months, an untested and untrained 33-year-old Kimbo Slice will step into his first MMA cage.
While this was all happening, I had a friend who was in a weekly card game with Lennox Lewis. Lennox was like, Mercer, hey, he hits really hard. Lennox just beat Mike Tyson. I'm listening to this, I'm like, I think we better get our shit together.
Kimbo Slice, a 33-year-old backyard YouTube fighter with no professional experience, has a mere 2 months before he enters the cage for his first professional MMA bout.
I go into YouTube, I type in Kimbo Slice, and I'm like, wow, this guy's coming to our gym to learn from us. My name is Randy Katami. I'm the co-owner of Bas Rutten's Elite MMA. I was Kimbo Slice's boxing coach.
Get him, Kimbo! Get him!
He
This
used to just
guy
be so ruthless.
is just a pure fighter.
Like just going right at you, like, you know, really no stopping. That's really what made him stand out more so than anybody else. Not
The
surprised
fact that
Mike
Kimbo
said he
decides to go into mixed martial arts after he's
That's how
been
Mike
an
Tyson
internet
fight.
sensation,
Right
that
at you.
says everything about his personality. Kimbo wants to be the best fighter on the planet. My name is Bas Rutten. I'm a former UFC heavyweight champion, and I helped Kimbo when he became a pro fighter from his very first fight against Ray Mercer.
As a student, he really came in like a dry sponge. He'd never really sat down with any coach and learned the skill of combat sports. Obviously, he had technical ability. He was strong, he was fast, he moves his head really well. His footwork was really good. He was throwing a lot of hooks. So what I wanted to do right away was teach him how to throw a straight punch. But his ground game was nothing.
Thankfully, he had already an open stance. Everything becomes more powerful. We needed to add some kicks and some knees.
He had to play catch up. Starting combat sports at 33 years old is a tough journey.
This man is making his cage debut
Which is even
right
more legendary,
here
man.
for the CFFC.
In Kimbo's first pro fight against former boxing heavyweight champ Ray Mercer, Kimbo is said to earn $50,000 to fight, with a $25,000 bonus to win. Unprecedented amounts for a rookie fighter. It's a sign of Kimbo's internet popularity.
You'd be lucky as just a general pro fighter to make $1,000. As a UFC fighter during that time, $7,000 to fight, $7,000 to win.
I knew what his worth was.
It's wild how he was a pioneer even within, you know, getting wages based off popularity within like the internet in the beginning of that. You know what I'm saying? Even more of a pioneer of what he, you know, trailblazed with that, which is crazy. Definitely got some.
Lots of MMA fans don't share that opinion.
People wanted to say like, oh, he's not really even a good fighter.
All these naysayers that were online, you know, these are people who don't train, don't fight. They have absolutely no idea what it takes for a guy like that who is this high on the internet to take a professional fight.
This man is a boxer with a professional boxing record of 30.
My dad was never intimidated by no one he fought. Never. Never.
10 minutes before the fight, I said, cross your hands in front of you, make sure that you keep looking, and just bull rush him against the fence. And he actually did it.
Round number 1, scheduled for 3. Oh! He catches Ray with a shot. Ray ties him up. Kimbo, the aggressor, tries to grab Ray and drive him down the cabin.
That's the moment that I knew he's going to go really far, because he's actually listening.
There we go! You see the way Kimbo was able to break that.
Sure.
He's so strong.
Direction.
He's actually got him inside control.
That gets you a lot of places.
1 minute and 12 seconds into the fight, Mercer submits to Kimbo's guillotine chokehold. It's the same move Sean Gannon used to beat Kimbo in their infamous street fight.
He wins. He freaking wins.
And gets noticed by another MMA fight promotion, Elite XC.
He won by submission. We never knew he had submissions. My name is Rich Chow, and I worked at Elite XC as a matchmaker. So all of a sudden, that gave us this whole different angle. What if he does commit to real training with great coaches and in the right environment? Who knows what he's capable of? However, we knew it was going to take him time to learn and develop the game. And there was an understanding that maybe we don't have years and years and years for him to get there.
So, after signing him, Elite XC waits only a few months before setting Kimbo's first fight against Bo Cantrell.
Bo Cantrell was a great guy for the first fight because he had the edge in experience. He was a big, strong heavyweight that could knock people out.
My very first time going out and photographing him was at his gym ahead of his fight against Bo Cantrell. My name is Esther Lynn, and I am a photographer with a specialty in combat sports. And I had the pleasure of photographing Kimbo Slice. You know, you hear people talk about how certain fighters or certain celebrities or whatever, they have it. And I think he just had it. I couldn't believe every single photo I took of him I liked. He definitely understood how to sell a fight.
The Bo Cantrell fight was the big deal because that was the first one really on television.
Heavyweights in action as Kimbo Slice in his official mixed martial arts debut.
He rolls in, boom, here's this guy. The Kimbo brand was Miami. It was badass, and it was raw and underground.
If I get in a submission move, he just got to break the arm. I'm not tapping out.
People started to think about those backyard brawls and, you know, people's eye hanging out.
I want to kick him in his face, you know? Break his arm, break his jaw.
He won an MMA fight against Ray Mercer. Make no mistake, people were scared of Kimbo.
Including perhaps Bo Cantrell.
Do you think Kimbo's reputation helped in that way?
I think Kimbo's reputation definitely helped him. At the weigh-in, he wouldn't look at Kimbo. He just looked really, really, really scared before the fight. When he got hit, I think he just went out. He didn't want to take another punch.
That's got to be some kind of a record. At just 19 seconds of the opening round, Slice dropping Cantrell like names of a Hollywood party, and this guy is destined for stardom in mixed martial arts.
Kimbo's lightning-fast KO of Cantrell supercharges his celebrity.
He was everywhere. He was like doing conventions, signings, showing up with like celebrities. He was ubiquitous.
Kimbo Slice!
The Street Fighter is quickly becoming less South Miami and more South Beach as his fame migrates from YouTube to network TV.
It's the nice walk.
When he got invited to the Jimmy Kimmel show, I'd never thought in a million years he would make it to that stage.
That felt huge just because at the time, most people still kind of considered MMA like human cockfighting.
Do you like punching people? Yeah. You do? Do you ever feel bad afterwards?
No.
You never do?
Nah.
You never, even if a guy's like spitting out his teeth, you there?
No, not at all. But when the fight's over with, I'll say what's up, help him out, whatever. Be like, yo, you got to go to the doctor, man, get that checked
out. Kimbo always had charisma. He could make you laugh. The fact that he was goofy and happy was very disarming. It's fun to see somebody who's so scary and also not scary.
I was just about to say, it's somebody that had a mindset to be like at that furious and have that much intimidation, but at the same time be so cool, level-headed, and playful and jokeful. It's like, it's crazy. The nuance to that.
He was that bridge between like pop culture and like this fringe sport.
I hope I made the Wall of Fame. This is the Wall of Fame. You feel me?
The fame, none of it was planned, but he understood the more viewership, then the easier the negotiations are going to be going for the next contract.
But real talk, check me out on kimboslice.proleague.com all day. That's how we do it.
The allure was there, and people just wanted to see him fight.
And keep winning.
We are just minutes away from our main event, Kimbo Slice versus Tank Abbott.
Kimbo Slice versus Tank Abbott in Miami. Easily one of my most memorable and favorite events. The energy, the electricity.
This was going to be his coming out party in terms of like, this is where we're going to finally get to see Kimbo fight a fighter with reputation.
He was fighting an ex-UFC heavyweight champ. Tank was not in his prime, but he also was still extremely dangerous.
What a start already to this main event. Just listen to this crowd.
When I looked into the crowd, those weren't fight fans. They were here to see Kimbo Slice, the phenomenon.
I say he back at home.
I'm like, wow, my brother finally made it. For him to blow up and make it like he did, for the world to see, I was so proud of him.
We got a police escort all the way to the fight. I've never seen anything like it. They're not escorting anybody unless they're the president.
The extra security, the extra police, the police escort. This was not your average fight. I knew at that moment we had crossed over. He was a superstar.
This is showtime. Oh, that right hand really hurt Tank. Uppercut.
Dang.
Tank Abbott gets another right across the jaw. The third one's the charm. Kimbo Slice.
Out like a light.
He ended up knocking him out in like 40-some seconds.
The fight takes Kimbo from street brawler to MMA certified.
Listen to this crowd. This is insane.
It was what the crowd wanted to see.
And this reaction, this is loud.
At that point, he was still invincible, and that's how we felt.
After that was when it like really, really bad stuff happened.
Kimbo's win over UFC veteran Tank Abbott becomes more than just another victory.
Everywhere you went,
crazy.
you felt like things were going well.
Kimbo Slice.
Kimbo fuels UFC competitor Elite XC all the way to prime time.
MMA on network television, on CBS for the first time.
I remember going, our sport is on national television. We did it. The sport did it.
Not everybody was happy about Kimbo headlining.
One of his loudest critics has a lot to lose by Kimbo's success. Dana White, the UFC's president.
Kimbo Slice would get murdered in the UFC. Kimbo Slice is a street fighter. Kimbo Slice sucks.
Coming up, folks, our main event.
That's how you like how you really feel, Dana.
Kimbo Slice against James Colossus Thompson.
I'm surprised you ain't
Elite
call him
XC
over.
responds to the UFC's sniping by upping its game.
For this fight, they put in a lot more effort into the camera work, into the stage, into the walkouts, into the pyro. They hired like a bunch of dancers, and so it did feel like this grand experiment in trying to compete with the UFC.
Now, they just need their star attraction to also step up.
They wanted to see what Kimbo could do against a veteran guy like James Thompson. He had the same physique, if not bigger than Kimbo.
257 pounds for
James came to the weigh-in, and his ear was just completely inflamed. It was huge.
Middle High School. And we're underway. Quickly across the cage.
That first round, Kimbo gets hurt. All I really remember was just feeling like, oh shit, what if he loses?
He dug deep.
In the third round, Kimbo's trainers get into his ear about his opponents.
Boz and I both told him hit the ear.
Sure, that joint definitely inflamed. I already know that joint like burning. My guy ear.
It exploded.
Ooh.
The ear juices got all over the photographer next to me. It was gross. It was actually truly gross.
38 seconds into round 3, Kimbo is declared the winner.
Undefeated Kimbo Slice.
It's also a victory for CBS.
CBS wanted Kimbo in that primetime
That's
slot.
crazy.
You know, it's their job to deliver ratings. Having a really exciting, dramatic finish was what we wanted, and we got that. They wanted everything to build up to this massive viewership moment, and they got it. Boom, there it was.
34-year-old Kimbo is the hot, not-so-new face of MMA, making the cover of ESPN magazine.
Man, was he just the biggest thing coming off network television.
When we're out in public and the fans, they want to meet him, he's still Kevin to me.
The material things is what changed. The cars got more fancier. The gifts got bigger. Everybody had their own room, went to a good school.
If he don't love nothing else, he love his kids. He always tried to find ways to take care of his family. Like, he needed those fights.
And the bigger he gets, the bigger the backlash.
Why is this guy in ESPN magazine? Why isn't it me? You know, I'm 15-1. I fight in the UFC.
Kimbo's recent victory over James Thompson energizes his supporters.
Thanks for the love. James, very tough opponent. I didn't underestimate him, but I didn't know he was going to be that strong on the ground.
But this win comes with a warning.
It would have been one of the first times where we realized like his cardio needed a lot of work.
Up until that point, they've been really quick knockouts and quick fights. Going 3 rounds with a big guy, definitely people were talking.
Kimbo's cardio concerns has Dana White's blood pressure soaring.
Like I've said now for the last few months, this guy can't fight.
All of a sudden, we noticed that there is a whole line of guys now waiting to fight him. They now felt like they could beat him.
That's just for us to go back and make sure we tighten that game up, push him a little bit more in training.
He didn't really listen to the haters.
You have to have your mind right, your mind and your heart.
As long as he's getting paid, he's happy.
But Elite XC is nervous.
The company was struggling a little bit financially. We needed a really good, successful event to keep us going.
So they look to match Kimbo against a legendary MMA fighter, 44-year-old Ken Shamrock.
I'll do it, I said, but you better have an ambulance close by. I am Ken Shamrock, also known as the world's most dangerous man. I was like, dude, I could destroy him. I could fall down and submit him.
Kimbo's trainer, Boss Rutan, has fought Shamrock.
Ken Shamrock as a fighter was a great submission guy. So when I fought Ken, I lost by...
So that's why everybody thought they could beat him, to submit him and get him on the ground, you know what I'm saying? Get away from those punches.
Submission by way of leg lock, but that was before my submission experience. So when I started training Kimbo, we started doing a lot of leg locks, leg lock escapes.
Defend the submission and then get back on your feet.
Kimbo trains intensely for 6 weeks on how to beat Shamrock.
The Kimbo Ken weigh-in was high energy, it was intense, but something just felt a little off.
Kimbo had turned his back on him at the weigh-in, which, you know, Ken took that as disrespect.
Ken shoves him and starts yelling at him.
There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. He found out how much Kimbo was making and how much he was making, and he thought Kimbo wasn't deserving of that paycheck.
Kimbo did everything he was supposed to do to put himself in a position to be recognized without ever having to fight a #1 fighter. And you can't hate him for that. It's like, sign me up, please. But I have to build up some animosity. I'm not the kind of guy that can beat up somebody I like.
All of a sudden, the day of the fight, we have an issue with Ken. He says he cut himself while working out in his hotel room. The cut was really fresh, like you knew. You knew there's no way in hell he's gonna get cleared to fight.
How do you get cut 3 hours before a big fight? Like, what are you doing?
We were doing a drill, my head went down and he popped his head up. Boom, and I reached up and there's blood.
Some people have the theory that Ken cut himself to try and get back at the promotion.
The things that came out of that were just ridiculous. I've gone through this my whole career.
Comment, what y'all think? Y'all think he really cut himself? Or, you know what I'm saying? Or did he set something up?
With having disagreements in contracts. But I fought. I did not fight. I showed up even after I got cut.
See,
this is what people don't know. They said we can't, because I had stitches.
I remember just that feeling of almost being sick. The stakes were so high. It's refunding tickets. How do you explain this to the network? We determined that we needed to try and get Kimbo to stay on the card. And he wanted to stay on the card. He wanted to fight, and he wanted to get paid.
People in the crowd were starting to hear about it, so they were getting really rowdy.
At the time of the Kimbo fight, I was supposed to fight Aaron Rosa. I needed the win. If I lost that fight, I was probably gonna be done. My name is Seth Petruzzelli. I was a professional MMA fighter for about 15 years. They're like, hey, look, Ken Shamrock is hurt. Do you wanna fight Kimbo? They offered me $60K to do it and then another 40 to win. It was definitely a big pay jump.
Plus a 20 grand bonus if he knocks out Kimbo.
The head of Elite XC found a cocktail napkin on the table, and that was the deal. Done on a cocktail napkin. I had everything to gain, nothing to lose.
Kimbo does have something to lose.
I run backstage to try to get a photo of him walking out. I don't know what it's like to be told, you're fighting, you're not fighting, several times throughout the evening, but he didn't look confident.
Gentlemen, this is the main event, and it's showtime. Welcome to CBS Elite XC style. Let's give the millions of fans that's watching this fight the fight that they want to see. Go back to your corners. Let's get ready to rock and roll.
This is crazy.
He's the first fighter in my entire career that never touched my gloves.
Kimbo Slice, his 4th appearance inside the cage.
I was like, okay, maybe you're doing it for show, but it still pissed me off.
To be given a different opponent an hour before you fight is kind of unheard of. I just told Kimbo, put your hands on him. Get your distance and put your hands on him. I just don't think Kimbo's mind was in the fight, because he was there to fight Ken.
And it's about to get serious. Slice quickly across.
As he's charging in, I remember him crouching down, chin tucked, as he stood up to throw the rolling hook.
That's crazy. He really breaking this down like punch by punch, kick by kick.
I just threw that punch like at his beard, because it was a big target.
And it's about to get serious.
Seconds into his fight against last-minute opponent Seth Petruzzelli, Kimbo Slice makes a mistake.
Slice in trouble!
His knee gave out. He had to get surgery right after that. I don't think a lot of people know that. And then, you know, Seth capitalized, got on top.
He got clipped, he got dazed.
Slice goes down!
I remember him falling to his knees and just start round punches, bomb, bomb, bomb to the side of the head.
Seth
Before you know it, the ref called the fight off.
I did not expect him to go down off a little clip like that, but if you're not expecting a shot to come, even if it's a little strike, yeah, it'll knock your lights out for sure, for a split second.
The whole arena went quiet. You could have heard a pin drop in there. I remember just being almost frozen there and honestly not sure what it all meant.
The company had put a lot of eggs into the Kimbo basket, so I was nervous.
We all collectively knew that that was not good for the company.
People were like, you spent all this money on a street fighter and he didn't pan out.
Within a month, Elite XC is down for the count, and a beaten Kimbo is on the ropes with fans and critics.
They were just like, see, told you. He's not a real fighter.
Kimbo was their hero. Their dreams just got crushed.
We knew there was going to be major repercussions from it. It went way beyond, hey, you know, there's a lot of work to do in the gym.
With the demise of Elite XC, Kimbo's career is also presumed dead.
It did feel like a party ended, I guess.
Until the sport's ultimate promoter spots value in the person he once aggressively belittled.
We got one more guy coming.
I was like, Dana White's gonna take him into the Ultimate Fighter house after saying that he's the guy that you want at your house at a barbecue, but not in a professional fight.
The Ultimate Fighter, UFC's reality show, follows pro MMA fighters living together as they train, all battling for a six-figure contract.
This next guy that's coming,
comment if y'all remember that. This show
is definitely a fighter.
It's like beginning of every
question is he a mixed martial artist?
Coming off a loss like that, it felt like a privilege to be able to be a part of it. The Ultimate Fighter show is really like their proving grounds.
Talked more about this guy than anybody ever. And coming from me, that's saying a lot.
The Ultimate Fighter always seemed like a building show for up-and-coming fighters. So it's wild to see somebody so famous being on it.
For Kimbo to take that and say, no, I'm going to go like any other fighter through the house, that gave him a lot of credibility.
He wanted to become a UFC fighter. So he had to go through everything that they went through. Like those guys, they're used to it. He had to get conditioned.
This is what it takes to be an Ultimate Fighter.
So he really had to put in the work.
That was the moment that all the fighters started really respecting him. And of course, in the house, they find out what person he was.
Being on that show was able to change public perception because they were able to see another side of him outside of the cage.
He was a family man, and he loved his kids, and he read the Bible, and he took a journal every day, and he was a sweet, loving man. When my daughter was 3 months old,
you guys had some balance to the madness, for sure.
I was still nervous of holding my daughter. He just grabbed her and, hey, Ran, this is how you hold them. He had 5 kids. He knew what to do. I remember him saying, this is what unconditional love is. These kids, they're innocent, Randy. We're their rock.
How long did it take you to grow the hair on your face? All right, my son is 4. I started before he was born.
He was a great father. Teach them right from wrong, gentle with the kids.
Outside the cage, you know, he was just a gentle bent when we were sparring. I would tell him to hit me hard, and he wouldn't hit me hard. And he looked at me as, you know, 190-pound guy, and he didn't want to hurt me. He couldn't wait to fight, though.
Kimbo was eliminated during the Ultimate Fighter's first bout, but hangs around with the other contestants through the season and emerges a fan favorite.
The highest ratings that the Ultimate Fighter ever had was the season with Kimbo Slice.
The UFC rewards Kimbo with a professional contract, and his first opponent is the real deal.
Houston Alexander was a monster. Before that fight, he was knocking out everybody. He was knocking them out cold.
I mean, this one almost finished the fight.
Kimbo takes Alexander down to the ground, proving you can teach an old MMA dog some new tricks.
So we are seeing the growth of a true mixed martial artist.
After Kimbo loses his second UFC fight, Dana White does not renew his contract, but he does walk back earlier criticisms of the fighter.
I'm happy to have met Kimbo Slice. You know, he's not who I thought he was. He's a good guy. He came in, he worked hard. He's done everything he could to evolve.
That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's respect right there.
He's a mixed martial artist.
In 2010, Kimbo announces his retirement from MMA to pursue an uneventful stint as a pro boxer. But in 2015, he's lured back to the cage for a fight that's 7 years overdue.
I moved on to a company called Bellator. We were in a position where we needed some star power, and we needed some star power quickly. And there was a guy out there, an old friend of ours, Kimbo Slice. There was unfinished business. 7 years later, after that crazy night, it's Kimbo and
they finally link it up.
And Shamrock again. The second time, it felt different. This feels right.
In the first round, Kimbo's right hook sends Shamrock crashing to the mat.
He beat me, straight up. I let up, I gave him a chance, and he capitalized on it.
It was a very proud moment. He was finally able to make it happen. Would have been amazing to have just ended the career on that note.
But he doesn't.
Man, listen, dude, I'm a manhandle you, dude. Yeah. I promise you that.
Promoter Bellator capitalizes on Kimbo's quick KO of Shamrock by putting him in another grudge match.
Dada 5000 appeared to be Kimbo 2.0. It was a guy from the streets of Miami that Kimbo didn't like, which always makes it more fun and easier to promote.
You got baby nuts. I bet you my nuts bigger than yours. Come on.
I was excited, I was pumped. I'm sitting cage side. Mike Tyson was right behind me. Very surreal.
The fans were expecting.
I already knew this dude was going to be from Miami for sure.
So much.
My
name is John McCarthy. Most people in the MMA world would know me as Big John McCarthy. I ref the Dada versus Kimbo fight.
But neither of the former street fighters feels much like fighting.
These guys go out there and they swing for about 30 seconds and exhaust each other.
Like, oh my God, I can't believe this is playing out this way. It was bad.
The booing is so loud in the arena. I'm like, Kimbo, you got to do something. We got to have a fight.
In the cage, Kimbo was awarded a technical knockout. Later, medical tests will not only overturn his victory, but reveal secrets that threaten more than just Kimbo's career.
I sure didn't know the problem for Kimbo at the time was he had no business fighting. We always knew that he had high blood pressure, but never knew the extent of what the high blood pressure was doing to somebody who had an enlarged heart. And I didn't find that out till later on when he was just driving and working as like security. We'd be at like a red light and he would just fall asleep. And he'd be like, oh, the light was too long. And it's like, man, it's, light's not that long. I was just thinking he was like partying the night before. Now I kind of realized maybe it had something to do with what was, inherently wrong with him.
He always had an enlarged heart. So that's something he had his whole life. So we always knew about that. I didn't even understand what it meant, to be honest with you. I was so young. He told me about it once and then it was like life goes on.
One of the very few times that we argued with one another was me pushing for him to not fight anymore. They had him set up to fight James Thompson again in England, but I'm like, look, man, this just can't happen.
Yeah, but all my guy was saying was a payday. You know what I'm saying? This is like, bro, this is how I eat. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he thought he could do anything else, man.
Soon the decision to fight again is made for him.
It went from getting a pacemaker to, you need a heart transplant. That's when he knew this was no joke.
Kimbo Slice's heart condition is difficult for his family to accept.
In the hospital, his monitor was reading at 5%, but he was moving around like he was ready to be discharged and come home. That's just how strong he was. So I didn't know that would have been my last time seeing him.
MMA fighter Kimbo Slice has died in a South Florida hospital last night. His death was sudden and unexpected.
One of the worst things to experience is, somebody that you care so much about and went on this crazy life journey with, and not really being able to say goodbye.
Being his oldest sister and always being able to protect him, I couldn't deal with that. I couldn't deal with that.
I was there to the end.
My dad was always preparing me for his death. I wouldn't say he knew, but he just always prepared me for if something was to ever happen to him. So when it happened, I'm like, life goes on, it doesn't stop.
But Kimbo dying while awaiting a heart transplant does cause the MMA community to pause and reflect.
Frickin' heart transplant. Are you kidding me? Right away went back to that Dada 5000 fight, and I was pushing him not knowing he had a heart problem.
I never knew about his heart. Nobody knew. Apparently Kimbo knew, but he didn't want to tell people because then we would say, hey, fighting is over. And fighting was his passion. The things he did, stamina-wise and training-wise, with his heart, it says a lot about the person he is.
I don't think a lot of the traditionalists realized the age they came in at.
You have to understand,
33.
he had a lot of injuries.
Shelf life of a fighter, I mean, you're
Like,
probably
that's
at your
crazy.
peak at 28, 30 years old, and after that, Mother Time catches up to us. And if you have a condition like that, it puts even more of a strain on it.
And then knowing yourself that your heart is not good, but then still go through it, that's a special human being. If you take a guy like that back to his like 20 years of age, to a good coach, I think he could have been a real a big fighter.
He would have died in the cage to have made that money for his family, even though it wasn't necessary. To him, it was.
Coming from nothing, being homeless, and all of a sudden making the money that he was making and able to support his family that he'd never probably dream of.
It fits his character to a T. Kimbo was somebody that if you knew him, you loved him.
Crazy.
He was that good of a guy.
I respected what he did. I knew where he came from. I knew how he had to get there.
Could he have been better if he had started earlier? Maybe, yeah. But he struggled throughout his whole life and he got to this point.
Man.
That's
legend.
already a huge achievement.
This sport is all about entertainment and going out there and putting out the best fight possible, giving 100% of everything you got in a fight, win or lose, and that's what he did.
Just remember him as Kimbo Slice, the fighter.
Man, legendary, legendary. Shout out to Kimbo Slice. Shout out to his family. You know what I'm saying? The legacy that he left behind, for real. And shout out to Vice, man. Once again, killed this, man. Dark Side of the Cage. I watched some of the Dark Side of the Ring, but yeah, man, yeah, great job, great job. So yeah, y'all continue to like and subscribe. You know, I'm gonna always hit y'all with some really dope stuff. So y'all come, you know, with this journey with me, watch this dope content. And like I said, I got original content coming soon, got streaming coming soon. Y'all continue to shop at godlycrown.com. Y'all follow on all platforms, Mickey's Wave and Godly Crown. It's the Wave, and I'm out. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment this video too.